Hello everyone, this is a quick little review and setup guide for how we use Microsoft Teams at Westside High School. We started off using a couple years ago Basecamp, which I really liked. Then we used Slack. Slack was really awesome, but then my tech department told us that we couldn't use Slack anymore. And the next one up was Microsoft Teams. I wasn't much of a believer at first. I wasn't sure how it was going to run, and I am a complete Microsoft Teams believer now. I think it's an amazing platform that does a lot of really cool stuff. I think it works really well for our student leaders and the entire journalism department. So what is Teams? Teams is it's a lot of things. It's mostly a communication platform. So if you go over here where you can see your teams, this has 150 people in it. That's our journalism department, or 140. This is a team that I have with my fellow journalism advisor. This is a team of last year's leaders. These are the editors and chiefs and the decision makers in the hallway. And then this is a team for next year's leaders, because we already chose all of our leaders, and they have a group chat. So each one of these has something that looks like this. So you can go to the K and Z. That's Mr. Caldall and Mr. Zaglis. We go to the general chat. And this is the chat that we have been having going on for a while now. And everything shows up. So, and it goes in order. So when students put something on there, it shows up down here. You can do replies. You click reply. And then that reply is attached only to that initial post. You can see this big overlay of a bunch of stuff you can do down here. You can format your text, attach files, throw emojis in there, GIFs or GIFs, however you would prefer. Stickers, you could start a meeting right away, which is a video meeting that goes on. And then these are some plugins that we have. And Trello is one of the plugins. We have Poly. If you use Slack, you might have used Poly before. Poly is a really nice polling app that connects to Teams and gets people's opinions. Activity, so I just had somebody say something to me. So anything that new that comes up there. Teams works really well. You could at any time video conference someone. You could also phone call them just within the app. These are two powerful things. Just earlier today, we conferenced with some of our students, since we're not going to be in the same space in a while. It was nice to throw the video on there and be able to talk to each other. You can excuse me, each team has the space for posts and then files. The files just have all of our slideshows and all that stuff. You can download them. You can use cloud storage. You could set it up to use different ones. And then we also have the to do and a plan. This is an add-in that we added into Teams. It's called Planner, and it basically looks like Trello, right? So you can have these top level labels, and then within there you have cards. These are our lockers, who has our lockers, and then you can move the cards around a lot like Trello. When you click on each one, you can change whether it's in progress or the colors, the due dates, the description. You could add attachments. You could assign students. It's super powerful, and it works well because it integrates with Teams, all levels of all the different teams you have. We like that aspect a lot. So, for instance, if you go to our West Side Journalism and go to our General, and we're going to go to our Yearbook. We're going to go to Shield. You can see, that's their class notebook. Oops. Their class notebook's right here, so they can put a bunch of notes and stuff in there. And then they have a deadline 1. This is just we mocked this up. And you could do the entire yearbook by section and the different pages, and then different students could be assigned. You could have a checklist in there. So there's a checklist, there's a folio there, our names triple checked, all that stuff. It's really powerful, that aspect of Teams. When you go to the different teams and you start chatting, everyone sees everything. And that's kind of a problem a little bit. So for instance, if you see Westside Journalism, we have the general chat, we have an advertising board, we have our lit mag, we have people who do design and illustration, we have the in-depth team. It goes on and on. It's kind of good because if you're in the in-depth part and you're typing messages in, everyone in the entire program has a chance to see that. But if you don't want everyone to see it, it's not quite as easy as Slack to hide it. We found that you could hide these channels so students don't get notifications. And that has worked pretty well because they're always overwhelmed at first with maybe some of the notifications that comes their way. But what we do is we have them make sure that they have notifications turned on for all direct messages and then for the class, the publication that they're in. So for instance, the yearbook people have to make sure that they have notifications for the yearbook turned on. And let's say one of those students is also on our social media team. They have to have the social media chat turned on as well. This is it works well, but it's still taking time. Not everyone's completely on board. 100 and something people trying to do it. It took us years to get Slack going, and I think the initial feedback for this has been positive, but we're still having to slow people down and make sure to pull up your phone and show me your notifications. We don't do that. Our editors do that to the students. It also helps if you just do everything in Teams and you don't have multiple. If you're sending people to Trello, if you're sending people to whatever else you're doing, trying to do everything in Teams really helps. And it keeps them all in one place so they know that they can just expect to do it here. We, on big chats, you can put a whole bunch of people in a chat. You could pin it so then that chat becomes and label it like a certain group, which is kind of cool. You can go to the calendar and you could see where you have meetings set up. It integrates with Microsoft Outlook. I should have checked, but I'm not sure if it integrates just with Google Calendar. But it does integrate with Outlook if you have Google Calendar put into there, which is kind of cool. You have the calls section is where you can go and make calls. You just click on the student's name, files for the entire program, which is really cool. And making a new team is as easy as simply going in here and clicking on the three dots, and you can add people, and then you can add a channel. So you just click add channel. You can name it anything you want. Coronavirus chat. And you could add that, for instance, and then that would show up in our KZ team. And then we would know that we had a space that was dedicated to that. One of the cool things that people might like is that there is an assignments tab here. And if you have it set up for your groups, right now I don't have it set up blank slate because it looks a lot and it acts a lot like Google Classroom, but without quite the level of sophistication that Google Classroom has. It works really well. It works fine. You can make assignments. We've had students make assignments for other students and they can track who's doing what. We just don't use that aspect very much. It just muddied the waters a little bit. So we took that kind of away and we're just using it mostly to have planning and to have our communication platform. One of the great things about this is that it's free and it has unlimited chat history. Slack, you have to pay to get unlimited chat history. And you got a lot of file space. A couple things, when you're working on this, if you're doing it through your school's account, just make sure that the students know that anything that they put, because it's through the school's account, should not be considered secret. If they ever name sources that they'd like to keep confidential, I think it'd be pretty easy for tech support to be able to pull that out. So we tell our students that there's anything extremely sensitive, anything that you don't want anybody else to know, do not use Teams. Use another platform and don't use, of course, the school network and all that stuff. But beyond that, Teams is just a really solid platform that you could use over the next couple weeks or year or whenever. We're going to keep using it next year to stay in contact with all your students and keep them in place. It's been really successful. When you have buy-in from the students and most of the students are using it, which we have a pretty good amount that's there, it starts to keep going and a lot of students begin to use it and like it. So we are able to reach students pretty quickly and everyone's on board on being in the right place at the right time. So that's just a quick under 10 minute, I just got it right under 10 minutes, very cool, review / how we set up and use Teams at Westside. If you have any questions, go ahead and let me know. I'll put my information down below. That's all. Thanks, guys.